What's happening YouTube? This is Champion 2D Rob back again, and this time I'm doing a video response. I'm responding to two YouTubers. I will be responding to Nerdy Geezer, I believe his name is Lee, as well as Gurnaldinho Plays, aka Rob. Yeah, I just thought I would just do a double vid. I thought it would be quicker for me to just combine the video responses. And yeah, so let's get started. The very first response I'm doing is for Lee, Nerdy Geezer, and he asked the question, if I could have any system, what do I want? And I was thinking about it, and I do have one choice in particular, but you know, when I just gave it a little bit more thought, you know, there are actually a lot of systems I wouldn't mind owning, of course. I mean, you know, if money wasn't an option, I'd have them all, you know. But no, I would probably say would come right down to either the Dreamcast or the Saturn. But I would have to give it to the Saturn, only because I feel that the library is marginally stronger, in my opinion. And yeah, I think the Saturn is one I would definitely love to have. I mean, you know me guys, you know my tastes. I'm a big 2D fan. I'm a big fan of 2D games, and as we all know, you know, the Saturn was just a king when it came to 2D titles, and especially when you factor in the Japanese library of games. And I think that's probably where I'd go. It would probably have to be an import machine, or at least a region-free system, because I don't feel that the European library of games is that strong. But when you factor in the Japanese library, you know, it's a different beast altogether. And me personally, it's definitely a system I would want. I mean, if you ask me what are the sort of games I would go for, you know, I mean, I would go for a lot of the obvious ones, of course. Your Sega Rallies, your Virtual Cops, you know, loads of the fighting games. Guardian Heroes would definitely be one on my list. But in terms of sort of slightly more obscure titles or stuff that just didn't come out in Europe, I would get the Dungeons and Dragons game. I already own that on the PS3, but I definitely would want it on the Saturn. A crap ton of shooters, 2D fighters, of course. I mean, you've got all your King of Fighters, the Capcom X-Men versus Street Fighter, X-Men Children of the Atom. In fact, X-Men Children of the Atom would definitely be my number one sought after game, only because I really wanted a good home port of that title. And I know you can play it on MAME now, it's very easy and whatnot, but I would definitely go for the X-Men Children of the Atom for the Saturn, because the PlayStation 1 port is abysmal. I mean, say what you want to say about, you know, some of the other Capcom 2D fighters on the PlayStation 1. I mean, they all had their issues in some way or another. But the first one to come out on the PlayStation, which was X-Men Children of the Atom, is absolutely an abysmal port. You know, I mean, and this is coming from someone who is an apologist when it comes to the later Capcom 2D titles. I will defend them to death. But this one I just can't defend. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. But yeah, so the Saturn would be my number one most sought system. Hopefully I will get one at some point down the line. We'll see. But yeah, so thank you very much, Lee, for the community question. And I'm glad to finally give my answer as well. So anyway, moving on now to Mr. Rob, Gurnaldinho Plays. Now, he put out a community video, basically saying that if we could find some titles that represent each letter in our name. Now, very much like Rob, my name is Roberto, which is just a Spanish version of Robert. Yeah, so I've picked out some good titles here. So, R. First letter, we have Road Rash 2. Now, why did I pick Road Rash 2? Well, it's a fantastic game, guys. It's a fantastic game. and yeah, I absolutely loved it. This was a title that I never actually owned it as a kid, weirdly enough, but I played it a lot as a kid, and it's fantastic. And the reason why I picked this one over the original, even though I actually had the original, but the reason I picked this over the original is because of the two-player mode. I had a lot of fun playing this game in split screen two-player mode. Me and my friend would spend a lot of hours playing this game. So much fun. I really did enjoy this one. This is a very nostalgic title for me. I just find it kind of odd I never got around to buying it, but it's because I used to rent it a lot, and I think I might have borrowed it from friends as well. So yeah, so that's the first letter, R. Next game I have here, and this is one I've actually not spent too much time with, and that is Omega Boost. And this is a sort of 3D, sort of third-person mech shooter, similar to like Zone of the Enders. It's kind of like that, although it's not as good as Zone of the Enders. But yeah, and it was made by I believe it was Polyphony Digital, the same people that made the Gran Turismo series. And this is quite an odd title because it seems that, you know, they'd already made, you know, the first, I think they made the first I'm not sure if they made the second Gran Turismo game, but they'd already made the first Gran Turismo game after this one, when this one came out. And then they never really sort of did any more games after this. They kind of just sort of stuck to doing Gran Turismo games, really. They never kind of really did much else. I could be wrong on that. I mean, you know, please mention that in the comments below if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, this was one of the just very few titles they made sort of post Gran Turismo, the original ones. And it's an okay game, but I'll be honest with you, it never fully clicked with me, and then I sort of played it for a bit and then I just sort of dropped it. But I just felt it was worth mentioning because it's just a title that no one really brings up. Maybe for good reason, you know. But there we go. So that's Omega Boost. Okay, third letter, B. And we have here, in my opinion, the very underrated Burning Road for the PlayStation 1. And this is a title that basically came out during the height of like Daytona. And that's basically what this is. This is a Daytona clone, through and through. No apologies. I mean, if I was Sega, I would have sent this company to court because they ripped them off, like, you know, clearly. I mean, it was just so inspired by Daytona, it's unreal. But in any case, you know, for me, it was great because I loved Daytona, but I didn't own a Saturn. So this basically, you know, scratched that itch for me. And it's a really fun arcadey racer. You know, it doesn't really do anything new. It's pretty much, you know, a copy and paste of Daytona, just obviously without the Sega branding and whatnot. But it's a really fun game. It really is, and I think more people should definitely check out Burning Road. It's just, again, if you like your arcade racers, this one should be in your collection. Okay, next letter is E, and I have chosen Empire of Steel for the Mega Drive. And yeah, this is a really unique looking horizontal shooter for the Mega Drive. You basically get to control an airship and I think a plane as well. I don't remember about the plane, but yeah, you control an airship, and it's just got that really cool steampunk look to it. Very unique graphically, and I do appreciate shooters that try to bring something new, whether it's something in terms of the gameplay or in the visuals. You know, that for me keeps it interesting, because I think a lot of shooters, they sort of start to look alike. So it's good when game developers actually try to implement something that just makes them stick out a little bit more. And this is definitely a really solid shooter. Yeah, you could do worse. This is definitely one that's worth checking out for the Mega Drive. If only for it's just its unique art style, which is really cool. So yeah, that's Empire of Steel. Next letter, and that is R again. And this time I'm going to go with Reistar or Reistar. Now, this is a title I'm ashamed to say I slept on this game, like big time. I ignored this game for years, and I was lucky that I was able to get a copy of the game before the price on it shot up. I paid like about 15 quid for it. This was just before it kind of shot up. I was very lucky because I sort of went back and forth with whether I even wanted to buy this game. I mean, I even kind of ignored it when it was part of the compilation on the PlayStation 3. I played it a little bit, didn't really get on with it, but to be perfectly honest, it was just because I never really gave it the proper time it was due. But once I did, once I started playing it properly, and you know, I got to grips with the controls, the game definitely started to shine for me, and I think it's fantastic. I genuinely do. It's a fantastic platformer title, and I think it's massively slept on. You know, from the creators of Sonic, you know, they wanted to do something completely different to Sonic, and they succeeded in my book. It's just a shame that this never really became a series. You know, it just sort of, it was a one and done. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing, I don't know, but I definitely would have liked to have seen it carry on as a series. But it's a fantastic game, guys, worth playing whichever way you can. And yeah, so that's Reistar. Okay, next letter, we are on T, and I was deciding what to put for this one because I had quite a few choices, and one that immediately sprung to mind was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Turtles in Time. I was going to show that one, but I thought, you know what, this is a good excuse for me to bring up this gem. It's a game that I used to hype up a while back, and I've always sung its praises, and I think that most people aren't aware of this game. I mean, they've probably seen it in the shops, but they just don't really know what the game is. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to talk about the game again. And the game I'm talking about, and this is for the DS, is Thor: God of Thunder. Now, if you look at the cover, you know, clearly it's taken from the Thor films. So it's very easy to just mistake this game as just another licensed title, another crappy licensed title, probably an afterthought. And if you had this game on the 3DS or the Wii or the PlayStation 3, you'd be right. They were pretty much very average titles, but not on the DS. The DS game is a very different beast to the other ones. The other ones are all sort of third-person 3D action titles in the vein of sort of like a God of War. This one is not. This one is a 2D side-scrolling action title. In some ways, it's sort of like a run and gun, but you know, it's more melee based as opposed to shooting. And this title was developed by WayForward. And if you know anything about WayForward, they are very talented when it comes to making 2D action side-scrollers. They are the developers of the Shantae series, among a lot of other great titles. But this one here is brilliant. It is got some fantastic 2D artwork. The bosses are epic. I mean, it's just action-packed. There's a lot of effort put into this game. It really is. I mean, guys, I guarantee you, go check out footage of this game and you won't be disappointed. This is definitely one to add to the DS collection. And at the time of this video, this game is not that expensive either. It hasn't really caught on yet, so this game is still fairly affordable. But yeah, guys, do yourselves a favour. If you like 2D action side-scrollers of that classic sort of 16-bit era, but with more sort of that 32-bit graphics kind of style, get this game, guys. You won't be disappointed. It's fantastic. And finally, guys, again, letter O. We have a title here that I wanted to highlight because, again, this is not a game that most people bring up, and I think that most people aren't even aware it even exists. And the game I'm bringing up is Okamiden. So this is more or less the sequel or prequel to Okami, and it was a DS exclusive. And this is definitely a title that I've not spent much time with. I thought I wanted to highlight a game that I've not really played much, but I want to get into, and I just felt I want everyone to know that this game does exist. And I remember this game getting really great reviews, and I felt, yeah, I've just heard nothing but good things. So if you like the first Okami and you want to play a bit more, check out Okami. So that's it, guys. Those are my video responses to both Rob and Lee. Cheers for the community questions, and yeah, I was glad to do it. I know it took a little bit longer than I thought I would, but you know, I'm here now. I will leave links to their channels in the description box below, so if you haven't checked them out, guys, please do so. Go onto their channels, give them a sub if you haven't already. And yeah, guys, tell me what you think of the games, guys. I'll be very interested to know. And of course, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back soon.